And just to take a few moments to set aside whatever came before your practice today. Probably the most important part of practicing yoga is starting to recognize our ability to live in the present. So what happened before this moment, not so important, and what's happening next, not so important, just this breath. Attention is the best way that we can start to cultivate that sense of being in the present. So see if you can notice the qualities of the way that you're breathing just right now. And you might be using words to describe it, or maybe you're not analyzing, maybe you're just feeling into your body. And then we'll move in the direction of a yogic breath. So working through breath in and out from the nose, maybe ujjayi breathing if you practice it, that constriction of the muscles in the back of the throat, the way you would to fog up a mirror or whisper. And allowing there to very, very gradually be an expansiveness to the breath, that you're challenging yourself to allow the inhale to kind of press into the container of your body. And then on your exhale, you're really working to release. Most of us tend to hold on to a little bit of our exhale. Start to draw your navel in and back so that there is a constriction through the torso, really emptying all the way to zero. Always the opportunity, if it's a part of your practice, to set an intention. And I invite you as a part of that intention to just think about this idea of cultivating a practice that isn't just about the physical body, but about the way that we can feed our minds, our soul. And sometimes that means getting out of our comfort zone and maybe working a little harder than we're used to. So just being open to that in what's coming next today. Now cross your right knee over top of your left knee. Right knee crosses over top of the left knee. And you're gonna reach for the outer edges of your calf, ankle, or foot. It's early in the practice, so you might be not quite where you're used to being. We don't wanna force it. Make sure that the base of your tailbone isn't lifted off of the floor, so you're pressing all the way down through your pelvis. You might even think about lengthening your tailbone towards the top of your mat. And then draw your feet up towards your shoulders. Just a gentle stretch for the piriformis, the outside of the hip. You can use your breath as a guide, so maybe as you exhale, seeing if those knees will draw a little bit closer to the chest, still without the pelvis lifting. Now knees are gonna stay crossed. You're gonna release the outsides of your feet. We're gonna work to rock and roll up to a seated position, placing your toes on the floor for a moment, bringing your hands to the back of your thighs so that you can bring a little bit more contact between the front of your ribs and your top leg. And then lift both of your feet off of the floor. So you're crossed at your knees. You're squeezing your inner thighs together as best you can, and then you're gonna release those hands from the backs of your legs. So see if you can keep the contact between your belly and your thighs. Chest is lifted, this crisscrossy variation of coming into Navasana, boat pose. Take one more big breath and lift your chest. Draw the belly in and back as you exhale. Plant your palms behind you. Place just your left foot on the floor and lift your hips up towards the sky. Keep squeezing your inner thighs together. Wrap your shoulders together on the back. Maybe circle out that right ankle if it feels good. And then we're going to start to draw the hips back in space as best as you can, bringing them all the way in between your hands. Keep the legs crossed and extend forward. So now it's more your ankles that are crossed. Right ankle over top of left ankle. Fold forward over your legs, reaching for the outer edges of calves, ankles, or feet. Again, no need to force anything. This is just a little bit of a warm-up at the beginning of the practice. Use your core to create this forward fold. So instead of rounding, lift your chest, pull your belly button in, and imagine like an inchworm kind of taking your chest closer to your knees before coming forward. Now release the outer edges of your feet, sweep your arms all the way up. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together, and you're gonna lower very, very slowly until your shoulders and your head and neck are hovering off of the floor. So taking your time to come down. And as you come down, let your feet lift as well. Squeeze your inner thighs, reach through your heels, belly button to spine, and then uncross your legs, and let's do the foot jive. Press the base of your pelvis into the floor for 4. Pulling navel back and in for 3, 2, and 1. Let the whole body come to rest on the mat. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Second side, left knee over top of your right knee. Catching the outer edges of whatever you can grab. One side might need a little bit of a different option than the other. It's so funny, I love it. I can see just feet. All right, release the outer edges of your feet. Rock and roll up to a seated position, and you might catch the backs of your thighs or your shins. Remember that you're really working to wedge yourself, almost like you were gluing your rib cage to your thighs. And then once you've got that, lift your feet off of the floor. You can find an active flex in your feet, or you can point your toes, whatever feels right, but you're picking something. And then you're reaching your hands towards the outer edges of your feet. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Really, really magnetize your legs. Lift your chest, lift your gaze. One more big breath in, and then exhale, hands behind you, press those hips up. So it's like a reverse tabletop pose, but your legs are crossed. And then circle out that left ankle. Try to level off your pelvis. I know that's a little bit challenging with that one leg on top, but best you can. Both sides of your waist are moving towards the top of your mat. Now draw yourself back so that you're bringing your hips in between your hands, and then extend your legs forward so that now it's your ankles that are crossed. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, catching outer edges of whatever you can grab. The squeeze of the inner thighs is gonna sneak up on us. This is the work that's super, super potent for building midline strength. We rarely use our inner thighs the way we use the outsides of our legs, so we're trying to amend that. And then inhale, rise all the way back up again. One last time, exhale, keep those legs crossed, squeeze, hug towards the midline with your legs, and we're gonna lower one vertebra at a time. So try to make it so that you're not letting anything more than one vertebra come all the way down to the floor. And as you come to that shoulder hover, shoulder blade hover, lift your feet off of the floor. Squeeze the inner thighs, press the back of the pelvis down. If you have a tendency to puff your belly out, see if you can find that flattening of your core. And then this time we're gonna do that flutter kick of our feet. So keeping the chest lifted, we're hollow in the middle like a canoe. Kicking your feet for 5. Keep breathing for 4, 3, 2, and on 1. Knees in towards your chest. You're gonna rock and roll however many times you want, and we're gonna transition with ankles crossed this time. Plant your hands in front of your feet, and you can step or jump back, making your way to downward facing dog. No rush. When we get to downward facing dog, we're gonna take a little walk in place. And again, we're gonna crisscross. So you're gonna take your right foot behind your left ankle. So the toe, the big toe, and the pointer toe, I guess that's what you call it, are gonna come to the back of your ankle, and you're gonna use those toes to encourage the left heel down towards the floor. It's like a little self-assist. So right heel helps assist that left heel all the way down. If your heel comes easily to the floor, try walking your hands forward, a handprint, so that it makes it a little bit more challenging, maybe even 2 handprints. And then cross your ankles, squeeze your inner thighs, roll forward so that your shoulders stack over your wrists. You're in high plank pose with your ankles crossed. Squeeze the inner thighs together, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your belly, look forward, and then exhale, come all the way down onto your belly. Unwind your legs coming into cobra pose. And then exhale, hips roll up and back, come to, downward facing dog. Second side. So remember that nice long downward dog might challenge you so that you're getting more of a stretch at the backs of your calves. Left big toe and pointer toe. Although I don't know many people who are pointing with their pointer toe. We need a better name for it. You're gonna use that to kind of iron your right heel down towards the floor. It actually stretches out the Achilles tendon nicely. And then cross your left ankle behind your right ankle, roll forward, shoulders over wrists. Press and widen through the upper back. Squeeze the inner thighs together. You'll notice when you squeeze, your belly automatically engages. Keep that. Exhale, lower all the way down. Unwind your legs. Inhale, let's lift up into cobra pose. And then curl the toes under, take the sides of the waist up and back, downward facing dog. Now take your right leg up towards the ceiling. Step your right foot towards your left thumb. You're gonna get used to this in this practice. Right foot steps towards left thumb. So you're crisscrossing the mat. Step your left foot to the right edge of your mat. So the legs are on the opposite side of the mat and you're in a lunge. Let your back knee lower all the way down to the floor. So this first time you have the option of keeping your hands on the mat for a little bit of stability, but I want you to work the scissor action of your inner thighs together, like you could actually drag them together. They were that strong of a magnet. If you're feeling pretty comfortable here, bring both of your hands to the top of your right thigh. Keep scissoring those legs. Keep that right knee directed in the same direction as your right ankle, and squeeze as you press forward. You're gonna be a little bit more wobbly, so stay with it, don't worry about it. Still more if you're feeling pretty balanced, send those arms all the way up to frame your ears. Make sure that all 10 of your toes, especially that right big toe, stays grounded. Pull that right hip crease back and the left hip forward. One more big breath in. And then exhale, release your hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Now curl your left toes under, lift your left knee, and you're gonna slide that left foot all the way behind your right foot. So now your legs are crisscrossed at the top of the mat. You'll get used to these transitions. I promise you'll have plenty of practice. Squeeze the inner thighs together here and come up onto the balls of your feet. So you're balancing on the balls of the feet, heels are lifted, belly is toned up and in, and you're gonna balance here. See if you can take your arms straight back behind you. Look forward, chest forward, but keep drawing those bottom ribs in so you're connected to your core. One more big breath in, squeeze the inner thighs a little bit more, and then let your heels come down as you rise all the way to stand. Arms sweep all the way up. You're gonna pull that left knee in towards your chest. Interlace your fingers in a basket around the outside of that left shin. Squeeze the thigh up and in like you were doing a standing variation of Apanasana. Pressing down into all 4 corners of your standing leg, firm that leg up. So make sure that your right kneecap is lifted, right hip is drawing in. You don't have to lock the knee out, but it's really engaged. And then release. You're gonna step that left foot all the way over to the right. So it's not a lunge this time, you're more at the top of the mat. We're gonna call this a power curtsy, so outer hips are gonna get a lot of work as well. You're high on the ball of the left foot, hips are gonna lower back, butt goes way back, chest goes forward. Yeah. We're gonna do the same thing. Hug that left knee in towards your chest, try to keep your balance as you sweep your arms all the way up. And then exhale, cross that left leg all the way over. Bend your knees, chest goes forward. See if you can get really low. That's where it's gonna get really juicy for glute med, piriformis. And then again, let's come all the way up. Take your time so that you're not losing your balance. One last time. Cross that left leg all the way behind. Chest forward, hips back. Breathing for 3. See if you can get a little lower. For 2. And then on 1, rise all the way back up to stand, left knee in towards the chest. Step the left foot to meet your right foot, hips forward, elbows bend, curl the chest forward and up, look up. Squeeze those inner thighs together, they're not crisscrossed, but you can still find it. And then inhale, arms reach back up to frame the ears. Exhale, release the hands all the way down to frame your feet. So this time, right foot is going to step to the left edge of the mat. Right foot steps to the left. Slide the left foot in front of your right foot. Nice. All right, so we're gonna add to this. Left hand to the floor. Spin your toes to face the right edge of your mat. So your legs are crisscrossed. Press your hips towards your heels and lift your right hand. So it's like side plank, but your legs are crossed. Squeeze the inner thighs, straighten and press up. So you're going back, hips towards your heels, and then pressing up and reaching over. We're gonna do that 3 more times. Keep squeezing those inner thighs. Strong connection between that left hand and the floor. For 3. Really work the inner legs. For 2. Last 1. Sweep it all the way up and over. Bring your right hand to the floor. Let's come to that crisscross high plank. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale to upward facing dog with the legs unbound. And then exhale, hips move up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg goes sky high. Exhale, step the left foot to your right thumb. Left foot to right thumb, so crisscross. Right foot to the left edge of the mat. Back knee lowers all the way down. Press your hips forward. Maybe hands to that front thigh. Remember, the slower you move, the easier it is to calibrate this new way of being. And then finally, maybe those arms reach all the way up. Now pull your left hip crease back, your right hip forward. Scissor the inner thighs. Lengthen, maybe even taking your gaze up towards your arms. Release the hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Curl your back toes under, lift that back knee. Slide the right knee behind your left knee, so you're crisscrossed. Squeeze your inner thighs, come up onto the balls of the feet. Belly button draws in. See if you can start to lift your fingertips off of the floor. Don't worry if you lose your balance, just come back to it, try again. Fingertips reaching back behind you. Look out in front of you, so the spine is long and in neutral. Keep lifting, again, engage especially through the upper leg, the inner thigh. Heels down, arms reach all the way up to frame your ears. Let's take that back knee in. So right knee comes into the chest. Interlace your fingers in a basket around the outside of your right knee and squeeze that right thigh in and up. Maybe circle out that right ankle. Firm up your standing leg. So remember, we don't want to dump down into the hip. We want to feel that sense of rise. Cross your right foot over to the left edge of the mat, maybe even off of the mat. Drive the pelvis back. So your knees are stacking over top of your ankles rather than driving forward, which is going to make you use your booty a lot more. And then lift it all the way back up again. Take your time, right knee in towards your chest. Cross it back behind, arms back, chest forward, bend low, and then bring it all the way back up. Last one, cross that right leg all the way behind. You're high on the ball of the right foot. Bend those knees, drive your sits bones way back behind you and lift your chest. Maybe sink just a little bit lower so you feel it, especially on the outside of that left glute. And then rise all the way to stand. Left knee draws in towards the chest. Step the feet together. Bend the elbows, hips forward, chest lifts. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. All right, left foot crosses to the right edge of the mat. Right leg crosses in front of the left. We're finding that side plank variation. So you're crisscrossed at your ankles. You're turning your toes to the left. Keep your knees crossed. Lift your left arm up. Press your hips towards your heels. And then squeeze those inner thighs and reach up and over. Straighten both of your legs like a rocket ship. Bend the knees, sink it back towards your heels. The further back you go, the more juicy it gets. And then squeeze and reach up and over. You can really press to give yourself some momentum. 2 more times. Reach through that arm so the side body gets a stretch. 1 last time. Squeeze, reach it up and over. And then bring that left hand to the floor. Keep those legs crossed as you lower halfway down. Unwind the legs for upward dog or cobra pose. And then hips back to downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna do our best here to pick up the pace just a little bit. I don't want you to feel confused, so take your time, let your breath guide you. Inhale, right leg reaches up. Exhale, cross right foot to left thumb, left foot to the right edge of the mat. Let your back knee lower down. Any variation, hands on the floor, hands on that front knee, or arms reach all the way up. Find that squeeze, level off the pelvis. Take the gaze up. Exhale, hands lower down to frame your front foot. We're crisscrossing at the top of the mat. Step the back foot forward, ankles cross. Squeeze inner thighs, come onto the balls of the feet, and reach your arms straight back behind you. Look forward, keep high on the balls of the feet, challenge your arches. Heels to the floor, arms reach all the way up to frame your ears. Back knee draws into the chest. Interlace your fingers in a basket around the outside of the knee, squeeze in. Option to stay here, or maybe this time, arms reach up and the leg extends forward first. So left leg straight out in front of you. Keep your torso centered. You want to resist the urge to lean back. Cross the left foot to the right edge of the mat. Power curtsy. Bend those knees, sink the hips back. Inhale, rise up. You guys look amazing. Left knee into the chest. This is so hard on computer. You guys are doing fantastic. Left leg crosses behind, hips low and back. See if you could almost graze the floor like you were meeting the king or the queen. Left knee back in. Last one, cross it all the way behind. Rising all the way back up again. Step the feet together, add the back bend, hips forward, chest lifts. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Right foot steps to the left edge of the mat. Left foot slides in front of it. Side plank variation, turn your hips, press your hips towards your heels. Come up and over, that big side body arch. Lift those hips up high. Hips towards heels. And spring up and over. One more time. Nice work. This time, rolling forward, coming into your high plank pose. Keep squeezing those inner thighs. Option to add a push-up if you'd like. Elbows hug in tight, lower halfway, and press it up. Lower halfway, and press it up. This time, lower halfway down, uncross your legs, upward dog or cobra pose. Hips roll back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up and back. Exhale, cross it over. Left foot to right thumb, right foot to left edge of the mat. Back knee down, this Anjaneyasana variation. Take your time to rise so that you don't lose your balance. Pull left hip back, right hip forward. Really, really reach. Exhale, hands lower down to frame your front foot. Crisscross at the top of the mat. Right ankle behind left ankle. Squeeze the inner thighs, come up onto the balls of the feet. Look forward, lift your hands, arms back. It's okay if you lose it. Yes. Yes. Amazing, guys. Heels down, arms up. Back knee into chest. Interlace your fingers in that basket around the outside of your thigh. Draw the knee in as your tailbone reaches down. Maybe keeping that leg into the chest, or maybe arms extend, leg extends. Reach the heel. See if you can lift it to the height of your right hip. If it's low, don't worry about it. The best that you can, you're lifting up that right foot. Cross it behind. Find your power curtsy. Right foot to left edge. Hips low and back, chest forward. Get low. Feel that burn on the outside of your left hip. Rise all the way back up again, lean in towards chest. Cross it behind, look forward. And inhale, lift. One last time, get as low as you can. And then rise all the way back up again. Step the feet together, find your back bend, elbows bend, hips forward, curl open through your chest. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Opposite side, right foot steps to, right foot steps to the left edge of the mat. My fault, opposite way. Left foot steps to the right edge of the mat. Right leg steps in front of it. Then we're finding our side plank. Turn your hips to face the left edge of the mat. Toes face the left edge of the mat. Left arm lifts. Hips towards heels. Press and straighten up and over. A few more times. Rock it out of those legs. Get the creases. So we're really looking to find joint space here as well. Your knees, your hip creases, your ankles. Last one, press it up and over. Bring both hands to the floor. Option for those push-ups if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just hold here up at the top with those legs crossed. Elbows bended and back, lower halfway. And press it up. Elbows hug in, lower halfway. And press it up. Last one, lower halfway down, unwind your legs, coming into upward dog. And then hips roll back, and downward facing dog. We're gonna add a challenge. Inhale, right leg goes up and back. Step that right foot to the left thumb, left foot towards the right edge of the mat. We're gonna keep that back knee lifted this time. So start by bringing hands to your front thigh. Make sure that your front knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. It's not gonna look like a traditional lunge, so you're not gonna have quite as deep a bend in that front knee. Level off the pelvis, left hip pulls forward, right hip pulls back. And then give them their own length, so try to widen at the back of the pelvis. And then sweep your arms all the way up. Energize that back thigh a lot. That's gonna help. Maybe interlace your fingers, reaching those arm bones back. Lean forward, arms go back. Keep the weight moving into that back heel, so not all the weight comes forward. We're in a flying lunge. And then arms sweep all the way back up again. One more time, lean it forward. And then take it all the way up. Find your lunge. Now we're gonna bend the back knee and straighten the back knee. So keep that front knee bent. Bend your back knee down to a hover till it almost taps the floor. Keep squeezing those thighs to parallel. And then straighten your back leg. Bend your back knee all the way down to that hover. Belly toned. And straighten your back leg. One last time, bend it down to a hover. Straighten the back leg. And this time you're gonna slide that back foot forward without bringing hands to the floor. So sliding the left foot all the way behind your right foot. Come up onto the balls of the feet here. Reaching up through your arms, press your hips forward. See if you can get nice and light. The arches are probably talking to you. We rarely do the work for our arches. One more big breath in, and then exhale, heels to the floor. You're gonna bring your left elbow underneath of your right elbow. So now Garudasana in your arms. Left elbow underneath of right elbow, arms wind up. Bring the left leg up and over your right leg. So you're coming into full Garudasana. Remember, the toes don't have to tuck. So if that's not in your practice, you might just place your toes on the floor. Try to tuck your tailbone slightly here so that we're working the core a little bit more and sink lower into your thighs. Centering shoulders over top of hips, making sure that the weight isn't coming too far forward towards the front of your foot. Taking a steady gaze directly up in front of you. Lift your fingers away from your face, your elbows away from your chest. 2 more breaths, get a little lower. Inhale, draw that left knee in. Arms reach up to frame your ears. Straighten the left leg out in front of you. We're gonna crisscross again. Take it to your power curtsy. Left foot over towards the right edge of the mat. This time you're gonna keep coming down and down and down and down and down and down and down. You might bring hands to the floor and take that left foot all the way over to the left. So we're setting ourselves up, and I'll turn myself this way so you guys can see me a little bit better. What you're in, right foot is facing directly out in front of you, left leg is out to your side, setting yourself up for baby grasshopper pose. So start by bringing your forearms down to the floor and pulling that right knee in towards your right shoulder. And you might stay here. This is a nice stretch. You might even walk your forearms a little bit further forward. Keep hugging the right knee in towards the center line of the body. Still more, wrap your right armpit across the front of your right shin and reach for the outer edge of your opposite calf, ankle, or foot, whatever you can grab. You might stay here. Next option, slide the left hand underneath of your left shoulder. Lean forward, look forward, and then lift that bottom hip. Yeah, so the key is that it's almost like a teeter-totter. Your chest is moving forward and that bottom hip is lifting. And it looks like, so a couple of you can slide your hand. Natalie, slide your hand a little bit further forward in front of you. Yeah, so when it's back here, it's gonna be hard to lift. The hand is out in front of your shoulder and you're driving forward with your chest. Yes, looking good. All right, release that bottom hip all the way down to the floor. You have a second side to try. You're gonna place your left hand now slightly out in front of your left shoulder. So instead of forward, it's out to the side. You're gonna crisscross your ankles and you're gonna press up into that side plank. Squeezing those inner thighs together. Now top leg lifts. Take a giant step forward. See if you can place that right foot all the way up at the top of the mat. Right foot is all the way up at the top. Nice. If it doesn't get all the way there, you can help it there. And then place both hands on the inside of your right foot. So you're in a lizard lunge now. You can let both hands come to the floor. And you're in your lizard lunge. So Natalie, turn your toes a little bit more forward for me. Yes, that's it. It's like a lunge, but both arms are on the inside of the leg. Let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Maybe your forearms come down to the mat here if you'd like. And for this one, if you'd like, go ahead and flare to the outside of your right foot. So let your right knee drop open, but keep an active flex in your right foot. So we're not letting the foot just kind of chill out. You're giving it a little bit more activity. All right, let's bring all four corners of the back toes underneath of you. Lift your back knee and then send your right leg back so you're in a forearm plank. And then right hand to the floor, left hand to the floor. Vinyasa or downward facing dog, however you want to get there. All right, second side. Inhale, left leg lifts up. Exhale, cross over, left foot to right thumb, right foot to the left edge of the mat. Take your time. It's a lot easier to lose your balance here. We want to start by the scissoring action. So left hip and right hip, or rather left inner thigh and right inner thigh pulled together. Maybe hands are coming to that front knee to give you a moment to balance, to bring the shoulders so that they stack over the hips. And then eventually you're taking your arms all the way up to frame your ears. Maybe you're interlacing up at your forefinger, crossing your thumbs. Come up high on the ball of that back foot. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Maybe even take your gaze up. You're going to lean it forward. Keep driving that right heel back. Flying lunge. Arms back behind you. Gaze goes out in front of you. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, arms back. Don't worry if you're a little wobbly. You are not alone. Inhale, arms up. And you're going to bend that back knee down to a hover. Maybe even let that knee just barely kiss the floor. And then straighten that back leg. Keeping your core nice and toned, lowering the back knee slow to a hover, and then rising all the way back up again. 2 more times, stay with it. Use your breath. Nice, straighten that back leg. You're gonna slide your right foot in. So taking your time, this side is a little more challenging. Right foot slides behind your left foot. Arms reach all the way up. Now come up onto the balls of the feet. We want to make sure that we're not tilted. So hips drive forward. Strong inner thigh squeeze. Come up onto your tippy toes as you reach through those arms. Glutes should be squeezed as well. 1 more big breath in. See if you can get 1 inch taller. And then exhale, heels to the floor. You're going to bring your right elbow underneath of your left elbow for Garudasana. Start to lift your right leg up and over your left leg. So full Garudasana, maybe a little bend in that standing leg. Square off your pelvis. So for most of us, that means that the right hip needs to pull back slightly. Little scoop in the tail for this one. I want you to feel it strongly in the lower abs as you sink a little bit deeper into your thighs. Then move your thumbs away from your face and elbows away from your chest. So let's open up the shoulders just a little bit more fully. Deep breaths with a steady gaze in the direction right out in front of you. 2, maybe get a little lower. Squeeze those legs. 1, inhale that right knee into the chest. Left leg straightens, arms up. Right foot forward. Maybe that leg is straight out in front of you. Cross that right foot all the way over to the left edge of the mat. Keep sliding the foot over. Maybe hands to the floor, maybe not, as you bring yourself all the way down. Again, for that grasshopper pose. So left toes are facing straight out in front of you. Right leg is out to the side with the toes facing up. Another one of those hip stretches. So bringing forearms down to the floor. Maybe moving those forearms a little bit further forward. Really squeeze that left knee in towards your shoulder. Option to stay put here, or maybe you're moving towards the bind. So the more you bring your armpit in front of the shin bone, the easier it's going to be to find some contact with the opposite leg. It's also going to help you because you have something to press off of as you come forward. Now remember, the right hand has to slide slightly forward, but not so close to your hip that you don't have somewhere to lean onto. The arm is like a chaturanga arm, and you're working to press the foot into the hand, lift. The more engaged you are, the easier it's going to be to make that transition. Nice, Joe. Holding for 3. Holding for 2. Nice work, guys. Last breath. And then bring that bottom hip all the way down to the floor. Slide your right hand so the fingers are facing towards the back edge of your mat. Slide your left ankle in front of your right ankle. Press those hips up high. Reach that left arm up and over. So your ankles are crossed. So here's what we're looking for. That top leg is going to step way forward to a lunge. And I'm pivoting my hips as I do that. So I'll try it again for you guys. From that crisscross applesauce, left foot comes forward and you're coming up onto the ball of your right foot. Yeah, that's it. That was better. Back knee comes all the way down to the floor. Or you can stay on the ball of that back foot for a few breaths in your lizard lunge. Maybe the forearms come down. Maybe the forearms stay lifted. But hug those inner thighs towards one another. We've been working that midline power, so don't lose it now. Maybe rocking to the blade edge of that left foot. Nice work. All right, let's come back up onto those forearms, or back up, lift up enough that you can curl those back toes under and then slide the left foot back to meet the right foot. Left hand to the floor, right hand to the floor, and you're back in your high plank. Vinyasa or not, we're gonna meet in downward facing dog. We're gonna go through the sequence one last time. All right, from downward facing dog, inhale, right leg goes up and back. Exhale to crisscross, right foot to left thumb, left foot to the right edge of the mat. We've gotten a little more practice now. See if you can rise all the way up. Lean it forward, arms back, chest forward. Right hip back, left hip forward. And then widen the back of your pelvis. It's gonna turn on more musculature. Inhale, rise all the way up. Tailbone down, shoulders over hips. Maybe you're bending that back knee a little bit in order to find that alignment. Inhale, reach forward. And rise all the way back up. Last one. And lift. Bend your back knee down to a hover. Tap the floor. Straighten that back leg without taking the bend out of your front knee. Level off the pelvis. Bend the back knee to a hover. And straighten. 2 more. Nice work. Last one. Kiss the floor. Stay at that hover. Squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Straighten that back leg. Slide the back foot in. See if you can kind of drag your toes across the floor to find that crisscross. Come up onto the balls of the feet. Squeeze the inner thighs. Arm bones move up. Heels to the floor. Left elbow underneath the right elbow for Garudasana. Left leg over top of right leg. Find that full wind. Maybe you're staying here. Maybe this time you're letting your elbows tap all the way down to the tops of the thighs. Standing eagle crunch. And then lifting all the way back up again. Keeping your balance so you're moving slow and controlled. Two more. Nice job, guys. I see the control. One more. Inhale to lift all the way back up. Unwind the arms, left foot out in front of you. Cross it over. Find your power curtsy. All right, so this time, hands come to the floor. They're sliding over towards the left edge of your mat, maybe even off the left edge of your mat. We're gonna add a little push-up here. So lift your left toes off of the mat, if you can. Maybe the left toes are on the floor, it's your option. And you're gonna bend your elbows in, tap your chest to the floor, and press up. I'm gonna turn this way so you have a better view of what I'm talking about here. So that left foot is crossed all the way over. Your hands are over towards the left. Elbows are bending, you're tapping down and pressing up. So both hands are on the inside of that right foot. Elbows bend, tap and press. One last time, elbows bend, tap and press. Let that bottom hip come all the way down to the floor. You earned yourself a little breather. We're gonna pivot so that you can come into a spinal twist. So you're just turning to face so that you're looking at your left foot and your right foot is on the floor. Inhale, left arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhale, cross that left elbow either over top of your right thigh, or maybe you're wrapping it around the shin. Right hand coming behind you. Take your gaze up and over that shoulder. If you wanted to work towards a bind here, You want to make sure that that armpit comes really over top of your kneecap, and then the hands might clasp. Keep turning with each exhale. See if you can find a little bit more of that ringing action. So you're turning your belly and your chest, but not your hips. Unwind back to center, and you're gonna bend your left knee. So now your knees are crossed. So you're in a seated variation of Gomukhasana. Right knee over top of left knee. If this isn't comfortable from seated, you can take it onto your back again. You can also sit on a block. Right hand comes in between your shoulders. Left hand presses that right elbow down. Resist the urge to flare through your ribs. And then circle that left hand behind the back and see if you can find the clasp. Lift that right elbow way up towards the sky. And lift your chest, lift your gaze. Maybe you're staying upright here, closing your eyes. Otherwise, if you want more sensation for the hips, you might start to fold forward over that front leg. But you're keeping the spine long. So the moment that you start to round, you've come too far forward. Really work your core and the squeeze of the inner thighs. So this isn't a passive stretch. We're staying really active here. Inhale to rise back up into a seated position. One last option to try here. It's called Lolasana or pendant pose. So the legs will stay like they are, and there's stages to this. I like to be up on fingertips, but you can also do this with blocks. And you can also keep your feet on the ground. So to start with, I'll turn so you can see a little bit of a better view. You're gonna press down to lift your butt. And then if you can lift your butt, we're working eventually to be able to lift the feet off the floor as well. Nice. Give it another try. It takes practice. That pelvic floor lift, so we're looking for our bandhas. Pelvic floor, lower belly engage, and you're squeezing your heels towards the sides of your hips to lift. Yes. Yes. You guys all have this. All right, unwind those legs, rock and roll it onto your back. We've got one more standing side. So you're gonna rock and roll it, crisscross your ankles, plant your hands, step or jump back, moving through vinyasa, or simply meeting in downward facing dog. It's your option. Downward facing dog, you're gonna take that left leg up and back. Step the left foot to the right edge of the mat, right foot to the left edge of the mat. Press down to rise up. That's it. Find the scissor action. The more you work your inner legs, the more you're gonna feel balanced. Arms reach back, chest goes forward. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, reach it back. And inhale, lift. One last time. Rising back up again, tap your back knee down. Let it maybe kiss the mat. Keeping shoulders over hips. Straighten your back knee. Tap. And lift. Two more. Let that back knee almost kiss the floor, holding at the bottom, squeeze the outer hips, and then straighten that back leg. Slide your right foot behind your left foot. Once you're at the top of the mat, come up onto the balls of the feet. Hips forward, arms up. Let those heels come down to the floor. Left elbow, or right elbow rather, underneath of left elbow. Right leg comes up and over. Find your Garudasana pose. Find those eagle crunches if you want them. Elbows tap your knees. Stay low in those hips. Keep squeezing the inner thighs. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Slow and controlled, like you're moving through mud or molasses. Two more. Nice work. Last one. Inhale, arms up, knee into chest. Extend that right leg forward. Cross it behind. You're gonna bring your hands out. Remember, you're crossing it as far over as you can. Hands come to the right edge of the mat. Elbows bend in, chest moves forward. And press up. Elbows bend in, and press up. One last time. Nice, and then let that right hip lower all the way down to the floor. So left foot is over top of your right thigh and you're just pivoting to face the opposite edge of your mat. So you're getting into your spinal twist. Left foot over right thigh. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Cross that arm over top. Maybe left hand comes behind you. Think the more you move that back hand close to your pelvis, the easier it's going to be to align the hips over top, rather the shoulders over top of the hips, which is going to make your spine a lot happier. And therefore, it's going to be able to wring itself out a little bit more. If you took the bind on one side, maybe try it for both. All right, let's find our seated Gomukhasana. So you're bringing your left foot next to your right hip and tucking your right toes towards your left hip. Some folks find that coming forward onto hands and knees is a better option for making the body more comfortably move into this transition. Left hand comes in between your shoulders, right hand presses it down, and then right hand comes around the back. Maybe you're working towards that bind. You can even kind of help shimmy that left hand a little bit closer to the space between the shoulder blades. And then once the hands clasp, lift that left elbow way up towards the sky. Option to stay upright. This is a great option, especially if you already feel a lot of sensation in the base of your pelvis and your hips. If you wanted to move a little bit deeper, remember you're working your core, you're keeping your chest lifted. We're not rounding for today. Slowing down your breath. Let's pay a little bit more attention to our exhale. See if you can lengthen the exhale to a count of 4. Inhale 3. Exhale 4. Rising all the way back up to center, maybe placing those hands next to your hips to give a try at Lulasana. So don't give up. If you can't lift your feet off of the floor yet, just practicing hands on the floor and lifting your butt is going to get you in that direction. Just kind of squeeze your heels towards the outsides of your glutes as you lift. And then start to imagine that you could drive your knees in towards your chest and see if you can lift your knees off the floor. It can be a lot easier with blocks. So if you've got blocks, give that a try. Nice. All right, let's bring it all the way back down. And we're gonna unwind those legs, place the soles of the feet on the floor, and very slowly start to lower down onto your back. So bringing it all the way down and walking your feet in close enough that you can touch the back of your heel with your middle finger. We're setting ourselves up for a bridge pose. So press down into your feet and start to roll your spine slowly off of the floor. So instead of all at once, one vertebra at a time starts to lift. And then once you lift it all the way up to your shoulder blades, maybe starting to work the arms underneath of the body. You can either plant your palms firmly on the floor, or if your shoulders feel open enough, you might find a bind. So interlacing your fingers, crossing your thumbs, and then activate your arms, straighten them, reach your knuckles towards your heels. Press the back of the head into the mat, roll your chest up towards your chin without letting your chin drop down towards your chest. 5 deep breaths. With each inhale, see if you can get a little bit more buoyancy, a little bit more spread across the collarbones. And with each exhale, feeling the press of your feet down into the floor, the places of contact giving you an anchor. One last round of breath. And then exhale, release your hands to the side. Let your pelvis come all the way down to the floor. And resist the urge to fidget or move. Just let your body breathe and be still. We're going to try a bridge pose one more time, and I'm going to give you the option of working towards a transition into shoulder stand. However, before we go there, I'm going to recommend that you take your mat if you wanted to try this transition. Because shoulder stand can put such a strong amount of pressure on the neck, what we end up doing to give ourselves just a little bit more breathing room is we take this part of our mat that would normally be underneath the back of our head and we roll it up a couple of times, and it's going to give you like maybe 1/4 of an inch of extra space. So roll that mat up and listen up before you sit back down again. What you're working to do is to line up the tops of your shoulders with that seam. So your shoulders are on the mat, but your neck isn't, if that makes sense. Shoulders on the mat, neck off. And this is also important. So I'm gonna demo first and then we'll do it together because I don't want you to be turning your head to look at the camera. So listen through, watch, and then we'll try it all at once. So we start from here. Remember, tops of the shoulders lining up with the seam of your extra roll. Press your feet down, lift your pelvis up. I'm gonna walk my feet in a little bit closer than normal, and I'm coming onto the balls of the feet so I have the space to wedge my palms underneath the sides of my pelvis. Okay, so you might have to lift up a little bit. You might even have to kind of tilt your pelvis one way or the other, but I'm getting my palms underneath the sides of my pelvis, not my lower back, my pelvis. Then one at a time, my head stays looking up. I'm gonna lift one leg and then the other, and then I spin my hands to my lower back. Okay, we're gonna try it together now. So go ahead and come onto your back now that you know where you're headed. I'll talk you through it a second time. Remember that you're rolling up your mat. It's a really nice way to give your spine just a little bit of a bumper, a little bit of a breathing room. Neck is not on the mat, shoulders are on the mat. Now come into bridge pose. You're lifting your hips, no rush, take your time. You're lifting your hips up. You're walking your feet closer to your shoulders and then come up onto the balls of your feet. You're gonna need that extra space. And you're working to bring the butt of your palms, so your fingers are gonna be catching the outsides of your hips, where your jeans might land. And the butt of your palms is underneath the back of your pelvis. If you're able to do that, and only if you're able to do that, start to lift one leg at a time. If that's not working for you, you can also just come into shoulder stand by lifting both legs up and lifting your pelvis. Yeah, nice. Nice, Natalie. Yeah, keep reaching up. Yes, that was beautiful. Nice job, Kelsey. You're so close. The key is lift your foot up. The more you reach up through your toes, the less weight is gonna be keeping you pulling down towards the floor. But if not, just take your traditional shoulder stand going up. Now you're welcome to keep those legs up in the air, or maybe if you want, coming into one last twist, right knee over top of left knee, or you can come into your plow pose, halasana. Remember, always there should be a little space between your neck and the floor. You're getting an assist. If the toes come firmly to the mat, you can release the hands from the lower back and either interlace your fingers on the floor or press your palms down. It's your practice, so doing whatever feels better in your body. You're gonna stay here for just a few more breaths. If you crisscrossed one side, if you did one version of Garudasana, switch it out to the other. Let's slowly make our way all the way back down. So as you come down, we're gonna take our counter stretch, which is fish pose. So as you lower your pelvis down, make sure that your hands land underneath of your pelvis, palms facing into the floor. Keep your legs straight and strong and take your time lowering the legs. It will challenge your core a little bit more. And then once your heels hit the floor, start to press into your forearms and lift the center of your chest like there was a little string attached to it. So chest is lifted up. Wedge your elbows a little bit closer to one another behind your back. Now look behind you and draw your heels towards your glutes. It's gonna lower the top of your head barely onto the floor. I don't want you to be putting a tremendous amount of weight on the top of your head, maybe none at all. I don't even bring my head all the way down. I'm focused more on my chest remaining lifted. Really broad from one side of the collarbones to the other. And then tuck your chin to your chest, come all the way down onto your back. See you later for your spinal twist. Bring one. Yeah, so coming all the way down onto your back, bringing your toes to the floor and dropping both knees over to the right. And there was a tremendous amount of bandwidth that it took to be in this practice today. So honor that and maybe take the thinking out of it and just Start to imagine relinquishing the challenges. Maybe the brain is actually ready to really be still for a little while. Bring the knees back to center. Let's switch to side number 2. Head turning in the opposite direction from the legs. Really let the parts of your body that are making contact with the floor feel heavy. And then draw the knees all the way back to center, and let's let the legs extend out to the right and the left edges of the mat. If you wanted a happy baby pose to round out your practice, feel free to do that, but we're working towards coming into Shavasana. And just as a suggestion, again, always the option to build the practice the way that you want to, but because we've been working on this cross-referencing, it can be nice for this Shavasana to be kind of in an X shape. Only if it feels comfortable in your body. So you're laying on your back with your legs a little wider than usual and your arms in a V shape. And this is with a lot of ease. So if you feel like you can't let your shoulders relax by coming into that shape, skip it. It's just an option. And I'm gonna give you just a little bit of visualization. This is a short Shavasana. But this visualization of drawing a line from your right hand, so up in your right fingertips, like there was this little column of light moving through your right hand in the center of your right arm. And it's going to start to cross over from the right side of your chest to your left hip. And it's this beam of light in the center of your body that continues to move down your left leg, through your left calf, and out through the ball of your left foot. So feel this connection from the left to the right side of your body. And imagine with the light, there's this vibration. So there's a sensation along with a visual, a tingling maybe. And then let's take it to the opposite hand. So from the left fingers, this little tube of light through your hand, through your left forearm, left upper arm, to the left shoulder, across the left side of your chest, over to your right hip, through your right leg, and out through the ball of your right foot. And so now you've got these 2 lines of energy crisscrossing at the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is the center point from which you are radiating. See if you can find where the X marks the spot. And then from that, radiate back out in the diagonals. And if you need a longer Shavasana, you are welcome to stay on your back. You don't have to say goodbye to me at all. Otherwise, drawing your knees into your chest, kind of hugging in towards that center point, and either rolling onto one of your sides or rocking up to a seat. Let your hands come to rest on the tops of your thighs. And so from a seated position, see if you can integrate a little bit differently. Sometimes this stuff takes a day or 2 for it to settle. Just notice what there is to notice in this moment in your body. And then bring your palms together and lift your thumb knuckles up to the space between your brows and just very gently fold forward over your mat in the hopes that this practice has the ability to help us reveal something on the path of, walking on the path of the yogi towards being a little bit more enlightened. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me tonight. If anybody wants to jump on, if you have questions about anything, I'm happy to chit chat. If not, great job and enjoy the rest of your evening.